Okay, this is week 2 for Foundations of Research. So far you've been working on your matrices and you're probably fairly far along in your research. You should be sending those to me by email if you haven't been. I think most of you probably have been. Today what we want to do is we want to move on to the next step, and on your syllabus you'll notice that you have on your syllabus this idea of doing your rubrics, and you can see exactly what I am looking for in those rubrics. I'm looking for whether or not you complete them on time. Do you have the bibliography information? And remember, on that rubric you don't have to fill in all of those blanks. You only fill in what is appropriate for that particular resource. So sometimes you may not have an ISBN number, but if you have a DOI, a document object identifier, make sure you put that in there. Then I'm looking at your critical reading skills. Did you find out why they thought this was important? Do you understand their method? Do you understand their major findings? Did you include your assessment of it as usefulness in your paper? And if it's not useful, put 0. Put not going to use it. And did you mine their bibliographies? At the bottom of the matrix, there's a place for you to put where there are resources in this article that you want to follow up. So on the matrix, here's a matrix, and we're going to look at this later, one that I've done for an article that has to do with leadership through a gender lens. And you can see I've gone through and looked at what the research question is and that sort of thing. We'll talk about this more in depth. But down here at the bottom, what I have done is I've made notes to myself of references that are cited in this article that I want to follow up on. And I've sort of in myself, when I'm making notes, kind of put them into categories. This article is about leadership and gender, and then all of these references have to do with the number of women in leadership. These references have to do with discrimination against women. These have to do with the notion of women being promoted only in crisis. I thought those were 3 ideas that maybe I wanted to follow up on. I wasn't really sure at this point what my paper wanted to be about, but these were things that I found in this paper that I thought maybe I might want to follow up on. And instead of just putting the reference, I put the reference and the date in case there's 2 articles by Adler cited in this particular paper. I can find the one from 1997, and I know the reason I'm looking at it is because it has something about numbers of women in leadership. So that's the last part of mining the bibliography of the articles you're looking at. So those you should be working on. You should have the first 10 about done and be working on the second 10. Remember in your final paper that you have to have 10 resources, 5 of which are peer-reviewed. So of these 20 you're putting together, you're looking for the 5 peer-reviewed ones and the 10 total that you're going to put in your final paper. Your paper can have more than that, but it's got to have at least 10 with 5 peer-reviewed. The next thing on the list of stuff to do for the class is the literature map, and today we're going to talk and do a video about how to do a literature map. But that's kind of where we are. If you look at the timeline for the class, you can see that we've had the second week where we were working on our own. We're in the third week now where the first 10 matrices are due, and we're going to talk about qualitative research and mapping, and then the assignment is to finish the other 10 matrices and to do a map, which it says is due next week. Remember, you always have 1 week slip time, so things aren't late until the next class period, so you have a little bit of extra time to work on it. But that's kind of where you ought to be if you're going to get a rough draft to me by the end of the term, okay? So next we're going to look at some slides, the slides that I put on Blackboard from PowerPoint. We're going to look at some of those and some of the articles that are on there. So see you in the next video.